Namaskar, Cambridgians. Hope you all are fine and safe at home. Today, we are going to discuss our chapter 4 of civics, key elements of democratic government. In this chapter, we are going to discuss about the elements which makes the democracy a successful type of government. So before starting the chapter, I'm going to explain you about few terms. These are very important terms. So first of all, it is apartheid. So apartheid was a policy which was followed in South Africa before 1994. And according to this term, it means the racial discrimination. The second one is democracy. So in the last chapter also, we have discussed about the term democracy. So it's a Greek word, demos, means common people, and kratos means rule. So combinedly, we say that democracy is a type of government which is of the people, by the people, and for the people. So this is the complete government which is only made by the people, and this is like you can say the accountable to the people also. So now we are going to discuss about the elements of democracy. So first of all, it is the participation. The participation in a democracy means the people participation in the decision-making process. There are various ways by which people participate in decision-making process of the government. How they do participation? They do participation through elections. The people make decisions in democracy, but they do not participate directly. Instead, they choose their representative through election process. That is through voting in elections. People elect leaders to represent them. So in democratic type of government, the voting is very important. So each and every citizen of a country should go and cast their vote. The other ways of participation. So there are also other ways also for the participation in democratic type of government. And they are like, apart from voting, there are the other ways to participate in the process of governance. Like people can participate by taking an interest in the functioning of the government by criticizing it whenever it does not work up to the expectations. People can express their views in many ways, make government to understand what actions they should take. These ways can be like dharnas, rallies, protests, marches, signature campaigns, strikes, etc. So you have also recently seen like the farmers, they are on the borders of Delhi borders, and they are against the farmers bill which has been introduced by the government. So they are doing the protest over there. Role of media in democracy. This is very important, that media plays an important role in a democracy. You can also say the media as a fourth pillar of a democratic type of government. To provide the information on the policies made the government, media is very important. It takes the views of the citizens. The media is considered as the fourth pillar, as I said earlier. It plays a vital role in creating, molding, and relating the public opinions. So you can also say that when victory margins are very thin, the role played by the social media becomes very crucial, and it can also change the electoral outcomes. Then comes the accountability. A democratic government is accountable to its citizens or the voters. It is responsible for its decisions or actions. It is expected that the government will explain its decisions or actions whenever people demand so. The government has to be sensitive towards them because of the people elect it to power. So it is very important that the government which is there, they should be accountable to the citizen of the country, because the citizens are only you can say the citizen of the country only choose them to rule. Now, it's very important in a democratic government, the ruling party and the oppositions. So the ruling party, you can say the party which is having the majority number of seats in the parliament, or you can also say the party which is made by the, you can say number of parties. So you can say that type of party, like that's a type of government, you can say the coalition government. So there are you can say in our India, we also have the coalition government also, and we also have the majority government also. Like before 2014 in our country, from near about 19, you can say after 1980s, there were the coalition parties which was ruling in our country. So after 2014, you can find the government which is there nowadays. It is the majority government, and you can also see that the difference between the coalition government and the majority government. Like in the coalition government, the decisions which are there, they can't be taken so easily. Whereas in the majority government, if it is there, the single large party is there. So over there, the decisions which are there, they are taken very fast, and it's very important for the country that they should have a single majority party, so the decisions can be taken very fast. Then it comes the opposition. This is a very important part of a democratic type of government. So this opposition party which is there, these are the parties which are not in the rule. So they are like you can say the party or the parties that are not a part of ruling government, and they play a crucial role. How they play a crucial role? By letting the people know about the policies which are made by the government. So you can say that they can also keep a control on the government to be a dictator. Then it is a very important element of a democratic government, that is the dissolving the conflict. You know that India is a very vast country, and in India there are you can say the different type of the people who are staying in our country. They are of different type of caste, religion, regions, economic backgrounds, which can be disagree with each other, and they can feel discriminated. So sometimes what happens, it turns into the violent and create tensions and insecurity in the minds of the people. So it is the responsibility of the government to resolve the conflict by initiating the dialogues with these groups of people in a very peaceful manner. Example, we can take the Kaveri water dispute, the dispute between the Karnataka government and the Tamil Nadu government, and which was resolved by the central government by intervening. So it is not that the conflict can be only within the people. Sometimes the conflict can be within the two governments also. And it is very important to resolve those conflicts. The second is the religious processions. Now, what are the religious processions? You can say it's a type of religious march, which can also lead a conflict between the people. So the religious processions often led to conflict, especially the root of the religious processions. The slogans of the processions, they create a tension in the society. And because of that, it can create a conflict between the two group of people, between the two religions also. Then it comes the equality and justice. The Indian constitutions recognize every citizen equal. Equality and justice are inseparable, as they are the two sides of the same coin, and justice cannot be achieved unless the people are treated equally. So it is very important that if like you can say, if we want the equality, or if we want a justice, then it is very important that there should be equality among the peoples. So in our country, the constitution has abolished the untouchability in 1955 to bring the equality among the different groups of people. It's a very important term, universal adult franchising. So every citizen who is of 18 and above 18 has the right to vote without any discrimination of rich and poor, caste, religion, creed, etc. This is also very important element of a democracy, that is the rule of law. Means each and every citizen in India is equal before the law. Either his leader, either he is a, you can say, either he's a leader, either he's a common person or an ordinary person. If a crime is done by any of the person, you can say the punishment is same for everyone. So in our country, we have the rule of law. The fundamental rights, as our constitution has provided us 6 fundamental rights. Uh, and if we find that anybody is violating to our rights, then we can approach to the court, and we can go against that person. So our constitution has provided the 6 fundamental rights to every citizen of the country, and nobody can violate these rights provided by the constitution to us. Then it is very important for the democratic type of government, the separation of power. This system divides the state into the 3 branches: the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary branches. So the separation is done because if any of the institution to become any of the institution, not to become any of the institution as a dictator. So if the power is not separated, then any of the institution can become a dictator. So this is not good for the democratic type of government. And the judicial branch, which is there, they check off both the branches like legislature and executive. And this judicial branch, which is there, that is independent branch. So there is one case study in our chapter also, that is Soweto uprising. The Soweto uprising or Soweto riots were a series of clashes in Soweto, South Africa on June 16, 1976, between the Black youths and the South African authorities. The riot grew out of protest against the policies of the National Party government and its apartheid regime. The origin of the protest is traced back to 1949 and Escalent Commission inquiry, which recommended drastic changes implemented through the Bantu Education Act. So according to this, like you can say, in South Africa, the Blackish people who was there, the native people of Africa, they was not allowed to learn their own language. They was not allowed to go to the schools where the white people's students used to go. So there was a total discrimination between the white and black in South Africa. So because of this reason, the movement started, which was known as apartheid movement. And according to this movement, you can say, when this apartheid movement was started, it is said that there was one, you can say, child. He was killed by, accidentally he was killed by the bullet of the police. So after that, this movement was its height, and in 1994, under the leadership of Nelson Mandela, the apartheid system was abolished in South Africa, and the new democratic type of government was established under the leadership of Nelson Mandela in 1994. So Nelson Mandela, he was the first Black president of South Africa. So this was all about our chapter.